The United States House of Representatives has taken a historic step toward transforming the way veterans and their families access benefits. With the passage of H.R. 3854, formerly known as the Modernizing All Veterans and Survivors Claims Processing Act, lawmakers have signaled a bipartisan commitment to addressing one of the most frustrating and long-standing issues in American bureaucracy: the inefficiency of the Department of Veterans Affairs claims process. For generations, veterans and survivors have endured delays, lost paperwork, and communication breakdowns. This new bill promises to change that trajectory in ways that could impact millions of people. The bill does not yet carry the full force of law. It must still move through the Senate and eventually be signed by the President. Yet the significance of its passage in the House cannot be overstated. It shows that Congress is willing to recognize the unique burdens placed on those who served and to act decisively to bring long overdue modernization. The implications are not only profound for veterans, but also set a precedent for how government agencies might tackle outdated systems in the years to come. For the families of veterans who have struggled to survive while waiting for decisions, this development represents more than just political progress. It represents hope. The idea that they may finally have access to a system that communicates clearly, processes efficiently, and honors their sacrifice without unnecessary obstacles is the central promise of H.R. 3854. The current state of VA claims. A system overwhelmed to understand why this bill matters, one must first look at the state of the VA claims system as it currently exists. For years, veterans have been forced to navigate a complicated maze of paperwork, often gathering decades-old military service records, medical documents, and affidavits simply to prove eligibility. The complexity of the process discourages some from even filing claims, and for those who do, the journey often stretches into months or years of uncertainty. The system's weaknesses are not limited to paperwork. Technology at the VA remains outdated, and the reliance on paper-based communication means that correspondence often arrives late, if it arrives at all. This lack of timely information leaves veterans unsure of the status of their claims, and in many cases, without the financial assistance they urgently need. Misplaced documents, improper labeling, and miscommunication between agencies compound the delays, creating a cycle of inefficiency that has persisted for decades. The consequences are very real. Veterans who depend on disability benefits for medical care are left vulnerable. Survivors who need financial support to raise children or continue education struggle without timely assistance. These delays are not mere inconveniences. They are barriers that can destabilize families and undermine the very promise the nation makes to those who served. H.R. 3854, a bill designed for transformation, the Modernizing All Veterans and Survivors Claims Processing Act, is not a symbolic gesture. It is a concrete plan to bring the VA into the 21st century. Its provisions are comprehensive and ambitious, focusing not just on quick fixes, but on structural changes that will permanently alter how claims are processed. The bill recognizes that outdated systems and human error are at the core of the problem and seeks to address them through automation and accountability. The passage of H.R. 3854 in the House reflects a broad consensus that veterans deserve better. It is significant that the bill earned bipartisan support, showing that modernization of the VA is not a partisan issue, but a shared national responsibility. In the often divided landscape of American politics, such agreement underscores the urgency of the situation and the moral imperative to act. At its heart, H.R. 3854 is a promise to veterans that their sacrifices will not be met with bureaucratic indifference. It lays out clear pathways to automation, requires interagency communication improvements, and demands strict adherence to timelines. In short, it insists that the VA function with the same discipline and reliability that it demands of those who serve in uniform. Automation. The central pillar of change, one of the most groundbreaking elements of H.R. 3854, is its emphasis on automation. The bill requires the VA to develop and implement a comprehensive plan to integrate modern technology into every stage of the claims process. This means that the tedious and error-prone tasks of document retrieval, evidence compilation, and correspondence can be streamlined and standardized. The potential benefits of automation are immense. By relying on technology to handle repetitive tasks, the VA can drastically reduce the number of mistakes caused by human error. Veterans will no longer face months of delays simply because a record was misplaced or mislabeled. Instead, systems will automatically pull the necessary data, organize it correctly, and make it accessible to claims processors. Automation also provides the foundation for consistency. For too long, claims outcomes have depended heavily on which office or which employee handled a case. By standardizing processes, H.R. 3854 ensures that veterans receive equal treatment regardless of where or when they file their claims. This move toward fairness is one of the most significant aspects of the legislation and has the potential to restore trust in the VA. Interagency communication. Breaking down silos, another critical focus of the bill is improved communication between federal agencies. Veterans' benefits often intersect with other programs, such as Social Security or the Department of Defense's service record systems. In the past, these agencies have operated in silos, leading to bottlenecks and delays when information needed to be shared. H.R. 3854 mandates a new era of cooperation. The legislation requires the VA to establish systems that allow for seamless data sharing across agencies. This is not merely a technical upgrade. It represents a cultural shift in how government entities interact. By eliminating the barriers that have historically slowed down information exchange, the bill ensures that veterans' claims can be verified and processed more quickly. The importance of interagency communication cannot be overstated. Many of the longest delays in the VA system occur when one agency fails to provide timely verification to another. By closing these gaps, the legislation brings efficiency and accountability to processes that veterans depend on for survival. It is a reminder that government should work for its people, not against them. Timelines and accountability. Delivering on promises, a reform effort without deadlines risks becoming another unfulfilled promise. H.R. 3854 addresses this by including specific timelines for implementation. The VA must begin using automation tools to generate correspondence within 1 year of submitting its automation plan. This requirement ensures that veterans will not have to wait indefinitely for changes to take effect. The emphasis on timelines is critical because it transforms the bill from aspiration into obligation. Far too often, modernization efforts stall in bureaucratic inertia, with agencies citing technical or financial barriers as reasons for delay. H.R. 3854 prevents this by mandating real-world benchmarks that the VA must meet. Veterans and their families will not have to rely solely on hope. They will have clear expectations backed by law. Accountability is further reinforced by congressional oversight. With the Congressional Budget Office already having reviewed the financial and operational implications of the bill, lawmakers will have the tools to monitor progress. This oversight ensures that the VA cannot quietly abandon its commitments without facing political consequences. Document labeling and evidence handling. Solving hidden barriers, one of the less visible but equally important reforms in H.R. 3854, concerns how documents are labeled and organized. The Veterans Benefits Management System, the VA's primary platform for processing claims, has long struggled with inconsistent document labeling. As a result, vital pieces of evidence are often lost in digital filing systems, creating unnecessary delays and denials. H.R. 3854 requires that every document uploaded into the system be labeled correctly. This seemingly small change addresses one of the most frustrating aspects of the claims process. Veterans and their families will no longer lose months waiting for the VA to rediscover evidence that was already provided. Correct labeling ensures that every claim is evaluated with all relevant information readily available. The reform of document handling is also symbolic of the bill's broader philosophy. Modernization is not just about flashy technology, but about fixing the smaller, overlooked details that create real-world consequences. By addressing these barriers, the legislation proves its seriousness in tackling the problem at every level. The legislative path ahead. One step from law, the passage of H.R. 3854 in the House is a milestone, but the legislative journey is not complete. The bill now moves to the Senate, where it will be reviewed by the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. There, it may face amendments and further debate before being sent to the full Senate for a vote. If approved by the Senate, the bill will then move to the President's desk. Only after being signed into law will the provisions of H.R. 3854 become binding. While there is always the possibility that legislation can stall in the Senate, the strong bipartisan support for this bill makes its future promising. Few lawmakers wish to be seen as obstructing reforms that directly benefit veterans. This process underscores the importance of vigilance. Veterans and advocates must continue to track the bill's progress and hold lawmakers accountable for moving it forward. The passage of H.R. 3854 would represent one of the most significant reforms of the VA in modern history, but it will require sustained attention to ensure it does not get lost in the shuffle of other legislative priorities. Broader implications. A model for federal reform. The importance of H.R. 3854 goes beyond the VA. If successful, it will stand as a model for how other federal agencies can modernize outdated systems. Programs like Social Security, SSI, and SSDI face similar challenges with delays, outdated technology, and bureaucratic inefficiency. The modernization of the VA could provide a roadmap for reforms that touch the lives of millions more Americans. For retirees and individuals on fixed incomes, timely access to benefits can be the difference between stability and hardship. A modernized VA system proves that government can rise to the occasion and deliver services in ways that reflect both efficiency and compassion. The success of this bill could inspire momentum for broader systemic reforms across the federal government. This ripple effect is part of what makes H.R. 3854 so significant. It is not only a step forward for veterans, but also a signal that outdated systems across government agencies are no longer acceptable. It is an acknowledgement that those who rely on benefits deserve respect, timeliness, and clarity. Conclusion. Toward a new era of accountability and service, the passage of H.R. 3854 in the House is more than just a legislative update. It is a statement of values. It declares that the United States will not allow its veterans to languish in bureaucratic limbo. It promises modernization, accountability, and fairness for those who have already given so much. If enacted into law, the bill could revolutionize the VA claims process, ensuring faster decisions, fewer errors, and clearer communication. It will not solve every challenge overnight, but it sets in motion a transformation that veterans and their families have awaited for decades. The road ahead requires persistence, but the momentum is undeniable. As H.R. 3854 moves closer to becoming law, veterans and their advocates must stay informed, engaged, and ready to hold institutions accountable. The future of veterans' benefits is at stake, and for the first time in a long time, change feels not only possible but imminent.